What's good, you can see it's me, boys, back in this video. So this is gonna be kind of boring, but now that YCS Vegas is finally over, I figured I can leak the entirety of the Fire King goo, everything that me and my team tested for the event. We did fairly well. We got top 16, unfortunately punting in top 16, an absolutely winnable game. But that being said, I want to impart this wisdom onto you guys so you guys know what endboards to make, and hopefully this will be useful. Starting off with this video, we're going to talk about two endboards. The one with the normal summon Ashe first and foremost. And instead of doing the standard combo, we're actually going to do something a little bit different here that I don't think a lot of people were actually doing. So we're going to normal summon Ashe. Poplar's effect's going to allow us to add a copy of the original. From here, we're going to send off, the Ashe and the Poplar. Go into the Oak line. I know a lot of people are doing this, but we are going to make it a little more optimized. So from here, we're actually going to go off into Snake Eye Oak. And then Chainlink 1 Oak, Chainlink 2 Poplar. This way we block from Bell. And by the way, if you guys are playing Ash Blossom and you have it in your hand, the correct time to do Ash Blossom is actually on this Oak here, because this guarantees you're not going to be able to get Flamberg access because Ash has already been used, and so has Oak. So we're going to go ahead and actually summon out the Flamberg Dragon, use the effect also to place one of these monsters into the scale zone so we can use it to send off of the original. Now, from here, we're actually going to link off into Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. So you guys have probably seen this combo. But one thing I realized you can actually do is summon these weenies outside of the zone. Because if you do get Nibiru'd here, which is also the correct time to Nibiru, if you guys have Nib, definitely should be nibbing here. Then that means you can later bring back the Sunlight Wolf off of Princess, and we can still use the unused effect to bring back a Kirin from our graveyard to our hand. So that's why we do this. And if our opponent just waits to nib, what we can actually do is summon out a Doolittle Chimera. When this hits the table, this is essentially free value, because if our opponent even nibs here, we can later use the effect of Grunix to send in Arvada to bring back the Doolittle as a free link climb. So here we're going to trigger off the Sunlight Wolf, just add back. It doesn't really matter. Well, I'm just going to add back Flamberg Dragon for the purposes of this combo. Going to go into Appaloosa here, so we're protected from Nibiru, Ash Blossom, and whatever the heck else might be waiting for us before we resolve the original Simple Spoil Snake Eyes. So we're going to go ahead and use that to go into the Ponix. Ponix's effect's going to allow you to add a copy of the Sanctuary and then go off into the island. So fairly, somewhat standard combo. I know not everyone's still doing this combo, but personally, me and my team, we just decided this is the most optimized combo to easily play around the hand traps that are early on in the game, besides Valor and Imperm, of course, and also guarantee that you're having a decent end board. Now, this endboard does get hurt by Infinite Impermanence plus Nibiru or Valor plus Nib. So if your opponent is like a god and actually knows that you're going for this line, then that's where you should probably watch out, because that could actually really punish you. But most people are not going to be able to do that because they never know what endboard you're going for. So waiting with the Imperm or Valor can actually backfire quite often, especially if we're going for the typical Linkuriboh line where we're actually summoning out the Flamberg Dragon onto the field, which doesn't actually happen in this combo. But in that combo, you know, Valor plus Nib would be a lot worse because the Flamberg Dragon will always shield you from Nib. Now, we're actually going to destroy the Flamberg from our hand because this allows us to get an extra body on the board by keeping the Ponix instead of destroying it. Just remember, anytime you destroy a fire monster from your hand instead of on the field, it means that you will actually keep that body on the board. We're going to dump the Arvada. This is where Doolittle Chimera comes in, because Arvada can actually resurrect a fire beast, beast warrior, or a winged beast from your graveyard. It doesn't specifically have to be a Fire King, unlike Kirin. So this is especially useful because Doolittle can then just push us directly up into the Princess. Princess effect can actually bring back the copy of Arvada. And then from here, what you can actually do is link off into the Ambler Whale. Now, the nice thing about Ambler Whale is that you do have some recursion, but that being said, if you do want to play around super polymerization, then I would definitely recommend going up to the Zealantis. When would you make the Zealantis? Well, I would say anytime that you actually have the Kirin in your hand, because then you can play around Triple Tactics Talent by popping the Arvada. If you don't have access to Kirin, then I would personally recommend just leaving the Ambler Whale on the field, because not everyone's playing Super Poly. It's not very common unless you're playing against a rogue deck like Voiceless. No one is really playing it in the fire decks because it's just not that good, and also there's no extra deck space. So this could be your typical end board, and this way tactics doesn't really hurt because you're going to be guaranteed to keep a fire monster on the board. When it comes to your opponent's turn, what you can actually do is either use the Arvada on their first effect, or better yet, use the effect of Princess to target the Ambler Whale plus one of their monsters you summoned. Then this will come back. The effect of Ambler Whale is going to trigger, allowing you to resurrect a copy of Doolittle Chimera. You can also chain the effect of Grunix. Grunix will come back, and then Grunix's effect on a new chain will allow you to dump a copy of Kirin. And then Kirin's actually going to resurrect back that Ponix. So we'll go effect of Kirin. And then on that resolution, you can actually get to pop a card. So instead of popping our opponent's card, we can actually pop the Doolittle. This allows you to get back the Kieran back to your hand, which enables you to do a couple of cool things. Predominantly get the Princess off the table, because this is something that we cannot have left on our field if we have Nibiru in our hand, right? Because it locks into fire monsters, so you have to get this off the field, summon out the Kieran. Now, the nice thing is when you actually do pop the Bestower of the Flames, the Princess, you can actually trigger the Ambler Wheel to pop something non-targeting on the field, because the Link 3 or lower monster was actually destroyed on the field, right? So this is really, really handy. It allows you to manually trigger the Ambler Wheel, which is really, really neat. So yeah, this is basically the M board that we were doing. We did not get there. Yeah, like hand traps are just everywhere. I maybe did this M board, I want to say like once or twice throughout 11 rounds of matches. So yeah, we didn't get there just because like Imperms and Valors, Ashes, everything was flying around. But this, I think, is the optimized turn 1 combo for you guys to do. Obviously, you know, Valor plus Nib does hurt it, but if no one knows what you're doing, I think still in the metagame it's not as developed, then this is still something I would go for in the upcoming event. All right, here's another common combo where you have Diabell Star Access, whether the actual Witch herself or Wanted, plus Snake Eye Ash, which is really, really cool combo. We actually discovered that you can do something really neat. So we're going to summon out Poplar. Instead of adding Original, we're actually going to add the field spell. Guys, if you're not playing Divine Temple already, you should be. This should absolutely be standard. The card is nuts going first and second. I just love how powerful this card is. Now, in this combo specifically, we're going to activate it and place the Oak onto the table, which gives us basically Oak access in the graveyard and also the Divine Temple to send for free later on. We're going to tribute, or send rather, the Ash plus the Oak to summon out Flamberg Dragon. Now, we are actually not going to use the effect just yet, because that's going to come up later in the combo. So from here, we're actually going to link off into Sunlight Wolf, which is really nice in this particular line, because you can chain block the Flamberge Dragon, being chain link 1 to play around the Ghost Spell, and then chain link 2 Poplar, targeting the Flamberge, placing it back into the field. We're going to summon back out the Oak plus the Ash, and now Oak can trigger because we haven't triggered that yet. Bring back the Poplar. Notice how I'm avoiding the Sunlight Wolf zone again, because if you do get nibbed here, you can actually later bring off the Sunlight Wolf off of Princess and then still get the Kieran back to your hand. So personally, I think it's a little better than actually adding, obviously, you know, one of these level 1s. And in this combo specifically, we're not going to be able to have a fire monster to add back anyways, because Oak is still going to trigger. So yeah, I guess ignore what I just said, but you know, if you have another fire monster, you get what I'm saying. Now from here, we're going to link off 2 of the weenies to go off into Doolittle Chimera, kind of like the previous combo. Effect to add back something, doesn't really matter. Add back Oak just for recursion, but we are going to pop this later with Fire King Island if you don't have another fire monster. And then from here, we're going to go off into Appaloosa, and you can notice immediately off the bat, one thing is different from this combo than the previous one, and that's the fact that we actually have an extra body, in addition to, obviously, the field spell being a free send as well, which is really, really nice, because what we're going to do here is use the effect of Diabell Star, send off that Flamberge Dragon, set a copy of the original. Original is going to be flipped up immediately, sending the Divine Temple for free, and this will allow us to add the Ponyx, to add a copy of the Sanctuary, and then place the copy of the island. And this is really, really cool, because we're actually just destroy the Oak that we added back, or another inferior fire monster if you happen to open with multiple copies of Snake Eyes Ash. Perhaps that's just something that's better. And then summon out the Garunix. And guys, this is really, really insane. Check this out. We're actually getting 5 bodies onto the board, which is nutty. Like, look, we have 6 monsters on the board off of like literally 2 cards. And if you have Wanted, it doesn't even count, because you can shuffle back the OSS and draw a card. Now, from here, we're going to go off into the Princess with the copy of Doolittle Chimera, and doesn't really matter what. Princess is gonna actually, instead of bringing back the Arvada, we're gonna bring back the Flamberge Dragon, because we can actually use the effect to put the Arvada into our skill, because we haven't used that earlier, right? So this is why it was important not to use it earlier. And then from here, you can actually link off into the Ambler Whale, and we can actually, because we have 2 free bodies, we can go off into IP Masquerena. Now this is really, really cool. So we're still gonna have 3 cards in hand, and on top of that, if you open with Wanted, you can shuffle 1 back to get the 4th card back into your hand. So this is really, really hard to break. Effectively, on our opponent's turn, we can summon out the Arvada. So we have an Arvada negate, we have the IP Masquerena to go into the SP Little Knight, and we have multiple Appaloosa negates, plus we have the Ambler Whale with the Garunix still in the graveyard. You can obviously play around Super Poly as well, just linking off into Zealantis and not shotgunning the effect of Flamberge Dragon, just keeping this into the column until you're forced to use it after you baited out some of your other negates. So that's something you can consider as well. But this is a very, very strong board that's I don't think any deck can really feasibly play into this and also, without OTKing you, also win the duel, because you have a lot of recursion. We have the Flamberge Dragon, so at some point IP Masquerena will use that as material, send off for the SP Little Knight, and then you can actually chain block the Flamberge again from Ghost Spell and bring back these level 1s, and you get insane recursion. You get the Ash effect, you get the Oak effect, add back the Ponix back in your hand so you can protect yourself from being OTK'd, because this comes back when your fire monsters are popped. And you just have so many resources that it's just absolutely crazy. If your Arvada gets popped, you can bring back the Doolittle Chimera as well. Just so much resources, and I think this is the best play that you can do with the Snake Eyes Ash plus CD Bell Star. Guys, what do you think about these combos? I mean, this was just something that we decided was most optimized, playing into best into every hand trap, and also being the best versus basically every matchup. This is what we came up with. Guys, let me know if there's actually better combos or better lines you think, and what you think about this so far. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm going to make some more videos about Fire Kings and also competitive stuff for the metagame in general. So, guys, stay tuned. There's no more real big events coming up for me, so we can just leak everything that we know.